Welcome back to Kings of the Pawns. It's your boy Troy. I have curated a few videos for you that will serve as being part number 2. These 2 videos that I published yesterday glitched. I just put them through anyway to see what they do, but they're not right. So this is the official number 2 to Did You Know Your Favorite Music May Be Linked to Secret World Domination? Alright, we're going to get up out of there and get it started. See what the music is doing to whatever that is, salt, sugar, some type of granular substance. But on the same topic, but a deeper level, everything around us has something like that. Now, if it was to keep going stronger, you would see a dot in the middle of that. And that's all linked to different, we'll get into all of this type of stuff. This is the channel where I'm gonna be bringing you a lot of eye-opening things that you're probably not used to. So stay tuned. Alright, so we're going back out of that one too. See what my man's right here talking about. Shout out to his channel.
Removed from the natural harmonics found in the sacred numbers and the
Bring that
Fibonacci
back.
series. Music has the hidden power to affect our minds, our bodies, our thoughts, and our society. When that music is based upon a tuning standard, purposely removed from the natural harmonics found in the sacred numbers and the Fibonacci series of nature, the result may be the psychic poisoning of the mass mind of humanity. Although I was aware of the rumors, I was not well acquainted with the 432 theory. Anyway, not until I noticed how many comments in my "Do we all tune our guitars wrong" video were about that topic. So I decided to dive into the topic some more, and what I found out was shocking, to say the least. So to start at the beginning, the frequency of 440 Hz is the A above middle C, and nowadays serves as a tuning standard for musical pitch. Hertz is a unit meaning per second, so it refers to 440 vibrations in 1 second. Until the 19th century there was no coordinated effort to standardize the pitch, and all the levels varied widely. Different countries tuned differently, and it even varied from city to city. Until the 1500s, the A was somewhere between 400 and 500 Hz. In the era of Bach, the A was tuned to 4 and 15 Hz. So at this day, quite a few musicians performing Bach or other Baroque music are tuning to A is 415, which is 1 semitone lower than what we use nowadays. During the classical period, the pitch was raised to 430, very close to 432. For example, a lot of Mozart's work is being performed in 432, and he was a Freemason. Just do the math. With the world getting more mobile and technology was evolving, everyone felt the need to settle on a standard pitch. In 1859, the French government passed a law which set the A at 435. This was the first attempt to standardize pitch at such scale. It became quite a popular pitch standard outside France as well. Around 1900 there was a British attempt for fixing the A at 439. And in the 1930s the broadcasting industry made a push towards the total standardization of A at 440 in Europe and in North America. Success was achieved in 1939 at an international conference in London. They recommended that the A above middle C was set at 440 Hz, now known as concert pitch. Whilst researching this, I found 2 main differences in schools of thought: the pro-432 movement and the anti-440 movement. On one side, there's belief among some that 432 is more in harmony with the universe. When playing 432, the C is close to 256. Frequency very connected to 8 Hz, which is called the heartbeat of the Earth, better known as Schumann resonance. There are peaks in extremely low frequency of the electromagnetic field of the Earth and resonate roughly at 7.83 Hz. Also, it's said that 432 resonates with the universe's golden mean, phi, and unifies the properties of light, time, space, matter, gravity, and magnetism with biology, the DNA code, and consciousness. Studies have shown that 432 musical therapy helps ease anxiety, bring down heart rate and blood pressure, and generally has a soothing effect. Also, 432 has a very positive effect on the third eye chakra and even can heal DNA. Probably true. The other side is pretty dark and covered up with some Illuminati conspiracy thoughts. Having read it a lot, I can summarize it as follows. The Nazis had their say in the matter, of course. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda man, supposedly pushed the internationalization of 440 in 1939 to untune people and cloud their intuition. If you dig deeper, you find out that Illuminati is probably involved as well. They supposedly sponsored Goebbels to promote the adoption of 440 standard.
Now you telling
The
me
Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, everyone is involved.
that they
But
didn't
I'm still a bit
implement that
The problem I
plan?
got with it is this. It is all measured on the basis of a second. Hertz. What's so special about a second? A second is not something defined. It is something we all decided to use as a standard system to define time. And it all dates back to the Babylonians, who used the sexagesimal system, counting to 60s. The use of 12 subdivisions for day and night, 60 for hours and minutes, turns out to be more useful than tens and hundreds. So we use seconds because it comes in handy. Not because there is something universally connected to the time it takes for 1 second to pass.
Time isn't real.
Okay, now it's time for some music. I'm playing songs in different keys, because it's very well possible that one different song can sound better if we tune down slightly or tuned up. But without any bias for me, I'm very excited what you think sounds better. It may sound awkward changing back and forth between 432 and 440, but if it's really true that 432 resonates with the universe and heals DNA, then I'm sure it won't be a problem.
Their Keyword Explorer tool is a
Okay.
must-have.
Now, it's my theory. I don't know if anybody else is up on this. Let me know in the comments that these different frequencies affect different people differently because everyone is on different frequencies. If that makes sense. If that makes sense, let me know. Let's get Paul David's paid real quick. And continue.
Part of my content strategy. It lets me quickly identify trends and hot.
Little experiment right here. If you know the name of that song, let me know. I'm familiar with it, but I can't tell you what the name of that song is. I can't even tell you the words. It sounds similar, but it doesn't sound the same. Interesting, right? Hit the like button if you like these curated videos I'm putting together for y'all. Y'all know this one too. Come on, y'all know this one. What's this one? Beethoven and some shit. Pretty good with that guitar, ain't he? Alright, we get it, right? Get it. Shout out to Paul Davids. We're gonna back up on out of there. Let's see what's going on over here. Whoa, if Hertz is so bad, let's see. Might be around the same type of things that the last guy was talking about. This is conspiracy music guru. Conspiracy music guru. We're going to be talking about the conspiracies of this. Now, let's see how this ties in. And he got a guitar over here too. Let's see what's going on here.
What Confucius meant about the quality of music when he says it's based upon the quality of its music, he wasn't talking about what kind of genre the music was in. He wasn't talking about whether it was rap or country, rock and roll, gospel, or jazz. What he was referring to when he meant the quality of its music was what frequency was that music being played in, and what mathematical intervals was the difference between the frequencies. You see, that was absolutely crucial. For thousands of years during the Chinese dynasties, the emperors would send out teams of people all over the kingdom to make sure that the people were playing music in the right frequency, the proper frequencies with the proper intervals. They had strict guidelines about the music that was being played, because the emperor knew that if you had different factions of different kingdoms playing different types of music, different frequencies of music, that all those different realms would soon be at strife and against one another.
Mind control and
so
manipulation.
It was imperative that the entire kingdom played music in tune with one another, and they set specific and strict guidelines of what frequency was this music to be played at. So 2,500 years, or actually 4,500 years ago, the Chinese were using the vibration of music to control the people. Now let's fast forward to today. Now, what do we know about today's music? What do we know about what tuning our music is in, and where did this tuning come from?
Especially hip hop and R&B. It's really bad at this point. Gotta make some good music, people.
So 432 Hz was the frequency in which instruments pre-1939, again for the most part, was used in Europe and around the world. But that all changed in 1939 when an international conference held in London recommended strongly that the world frequency, at least in regards to tuning instruments, be changed to 440 Hz. After this date, the BBC, among many others around the world, required their orchestras to tune to 440 Hz.
Interesting.
This slowly changed the tuning mechanics, now being used as an industrial standard, to 440 Hz. A major change from the organic 432 Hz to the 440 Hz. Only 14 years later, in 1955, 440 Hz became the standard that was adopted by industrial standards worldwide. The question people are now asking is, was there a more sinister reason for the change? Since a number of researchers have stated that people feel differently under the long-term influence of music and broadcasts at 440 Hz than they actually do at the natural organic broadcast of 432 Hz.
Today, extensive research has shown that music can speed or slow your heart rate, relax or jar your nerves, affect your blood pressure, digestion, even your rate of respiration. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you that music can also affect your emotions and desires. It can have a very significant influence on your mental processes, and in turn can influence an entire society, as the Chinese knew over 4,000 years ago. So where did the frequency of today's music come from? Just about the entire modern world uses the standard concert pitch of A equals 440 Hertz. Now what this means is, on a piano, for example, the A above middle C is tuned to 440 Hertz. Then all the rest of the notes are tuned around this frequency. But the problem with this is there's absolutely nothing harmonious, either biologically or cosmically, with the 440 Hertz frequency. So why are we using it?
Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you feeling this. Can you hear the three tones? was amazing.
On FanDuel Casino, you can play hundreds of games, like blackjack,
Let's get them paid. Could you feel that in your body? Sound like somebody about to bust a song on here. I can't sing. I'm messing around. But okay, this is Andrew Huang. Let's see what Andrew talking about. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Today's
Huang.
video is about the #1 most mind-blowing thing I've ever learned about music. It's absolutely fundamental to how sound works and why we like the music we like, but a lot of people never learn about it. Even people like me, growing up in a musical family, learning lots of different instruments, studying music theory, I never even encountered this concept until I was 18 and went to university for music. What we're talking about is the harmonic series. Have a listen. The pitches in this series occur in nature, they're completely consistent, and they're quietly audible almost anytime you hear a musical note. So every note is actually a whole bunch of tiny notes put together, with one exception that we'll also take a look at. I guess it's
interesting.
really notable. Note! Whenever you play a note, you'll be hearing a mix of these higher, quieter notes along with it, which we call harmonics or overtones. And I should clarify that it's not necessarily the exact pitches you heard in our example. The harmonics are all going to be relative to whatever note you're playing, and there's a very simple pattern behind that. Basically, every time you play a note, you're also going to be hearing a little bit of the frequency that's twice as fast, and a little bit of the frequency that's 3 times as fast, and the one that's 4 times as fast, 5 times as fast, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. All of the integer multiples of that original note's frequency, theoretically to infinity, but in reality, only the first handful are really audible. So let's take a look at this bass guitar. The whole length of this string is vibrating, and that's what determines what note we hear, but it's also simultaneously vibrating in other modes. Here's a little diagram to illustrate. So you've got the main loudest note that you hear, the fundamental, and that is vibrating the whole length of the string. So if you picture this string wobbling back and forth, that wave is traveling all the way down the length of the string and all the way back. What we're also hearing, quieter, is the integer multiples of that wave. So we're hearing the wave that's twice as fast, and we're hearing the wave that's 3 times as fast, and so on. The same kind of thing happens in wind instruments where it's a certain length column of air that's resonating. So these additional waves are the harmonics, and depending on your instrument, on its design, on its shape and size, also on the way that you play it, the volume of these different harmonics can be quite different. That's why plucking a string towards its end sounds different than plucking it closer towards the middle. By plucking it in different places, the additional modes of vibration, the harmonics, may be strengthened or weakened. That's also why two different instruments playing the exact same note can sound completely different. The main note that they're playing, the lowest one, the fundamental, is actually completely identical, and it's just the mixture of harmonics that give each instrument its own unique character. So for example, check this out. I've got a clarinet and a guitar both playing an F here. Very easy to tell which is which, even though they're playing these tiny little notes. Let's check them out in a spectrum analyzer. Firstly, I hope you're noticing all the harmonics showing up. There are all these distinct points above the main note. There are more and more of them, and they get closer together as you go higher, but also once you get past a certain point, they start to tail off. Notice that with the guitar sound, a lot of the lower harmonics are stronger than in the clarinet. Actually, the guitar's first harmonic, no wait, its first overtone. The fundamental counts as a harmonic, and that's the one difference between the terms harmonic and overtone. The guitar's first overtone, technically the second harmonic, is stronger than the fundamental, it looks like. But now let's see what happens if I put a brick wall EQ curve there and start sweeping down.
Imagine what your words do. Everything is frequencies.
Now both of them sound basically identical. We're just hearing that pure fundamental F tone. If your mind isn't blown yet, I don't know what to tell you. You're difficult to impress, or you already knew about this, and why are you watching? Now here's an interesting thing. Overtones don't have their own overtones. Unlike the fundamental, they are pure tones without their own harmonic series. They'll sound kind of like our guitar and clarinet did when we filtered all of the harmonics away down to just the fundamental. It's a very simple, dull, plain tone. A tone that has no harmonics is a sine wave. Therefore, all harmonics are sine waves. Now what the is a sine wave? A sine wave is the purest tone possible. It truly is just a single pitch. It's one perfect wave visualized amazingly in this video about Fourier analysis by Smarter Every Day.
If we were to turn this circle on and watch it go up and down and trace that motion out, you get what's called a sine wave.
Fascinating video. I highly recommend it if you want to understand more about waveforms and how they interact. So if we have a musical note and we strip away all the overtones and are just left with the fundamental, that is a sine wave. We've also learned that overtones don't have overtones themselves because they're all also sine waves. So that means that any consistent pitch played on any instrument can be recreated just with the right combination of sine waves. Once again, let's quickly hop back into Ableton here. I've got the operator synth open, which is an FM synth, but it also lets you do what's called additive synthesis, which is adding sine waves together. So let's play a C, and it's just gonna do a sine wave here. Now what operator lets you do here in this kind of graph looking area is add individually any of the first 64 harmonics. So I'm gonna hold down this note and then I'll add the first few overtones and you can hear what that sounds like. Now here's an interesting phenomenon. The first bunch of harmonics make up a major chord, and so when you add them one by one like that, it sounds like you're making a chord. But if I now play a scale with this sound where all the harmonics are moving along with each note, you don't really notice it anymore. It sounds like an individual note with some overtones. Let's try again, just adding harmonics at random and making a really weird dissonant chord. Like, that doesn't seem to sound good when you're just listening to the sine waves individually being added on. But if you, again, play a melody with it, it just sounds like a synth with a particular timbre. So using different combinations of harmonics is one way that, through synthesis, we can approximate real-world instruments. That's like kind of trumpety.
Hey, you want to check out the rest of that video? Go check him out. Moving on though. Want to get into this last one. Hope you guys are enjoying this.
Their Black Friday sale.
Hit the
VP
like
is hosting
button.
now for only $6.99 a month. Get
Channel
epic
Be
savings for a limited
Inspired.
time
Shout out
only
to Be
with free
Inspired.
Any information vibration by showing different designs. If the two forks are tuned to the same note, then they resonate together. This is how energy is transmitted into two vibrating objects of the same natural frequency. Two forks that are slightly tuned to different frequencies. Despite, they are 2 hertz differences, and they're not conducting or resonating with each other. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." In this video, we will talk about what is the power of vibration, its use in ancient civilizations and the modern world, and how it can impact human health, behavior, and the entire universe. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to see our latest content.
Yeah, do that.
Without further
Do that to
ado,
mine too. Kings of
Increase your
Pawns, y'all.
profit and work less time with Kiddle, a
'em
genius
paid.
new AI tool which is perfect for
let's begin the video. The secrets of the universe are based on energy, frequency, and vibration. The somatic patterns we can form using the same vibrations must mimic a universal process and continuously unfold throughout the universe. The law of vibration states that anything that exists in our universe, whether seen or unseen, broken down into and analyzed in its purest and most basic form, consists of pure energy or light, which resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency or pattern. Science has found that energy vibrates in different frequencies when breaking down all matter. In addition to everything vibrating, all matter that seems solid, liquid, or gas is empty space. The electrons, protons, and neutrons in the atom are in constant motion. Although modern scientists are opening new research doors on energy, frequency, and vibration, ancient civilizations were well aware of it. Words carry energy, and the intention behind the words conveys the vibration. Not that using any old word is all fine, but the energy you put behind a word will carry the meaning more deeply. Every molecule or atom in this universe vibrates at a particular frequency. A molecule in free space can vibrate because the atoms which make up the molecule can move in different directions relative to the position of the whole molecule. Atoms and molecules have energy, even at 0 Kelvin. This energy causes them to vibrate, among other things. Interactions between various components of the molecules, like nuclear repulsion, nuclear attraction, and electron repulsion, determine their motion. Each component has a finite amount of energy associated with it. Once you know the resonance frequency, you can amplify its waves to such a higher level that it will break or destroy the object. The power of vibration can be analyzed through cymatics, with just a vibrating plate forming patterns relative to the plate's geometry and the frequency of the vibrations. By
Cymatics,
changing the
y'all.
vibrations, these patterns change from unregulated chaos into symmetry. The universe is formed by light in the form of photon variations, with the absorption and emission of photon energy. Even without adding sound vibrations, the vibrations are always present in the form of photon oscillations, with a future unfolding with each new photon-electron coupling. It's because the universe is never at absolute zero. In the 1920s, an American scientist named Dr. Royal Raymond Rife developed a Rife frequency generator machine. The Rife machine produced low energy waves. These waves are also called radio frequency electromagnetic fields. They have low energy compared to X-rays or radiotherapy, which have high power. Today, using low energy waves as a treatment is less common, but there is some research on it. Dr. Rife experimented by introducing the BX virus into rats, which caused the rats to develop tumors. He was able to eliminate the tumors by exposing them to their MOR via his ray beam device. In 1934, a USC team of physicians led by Dr. Johnson transferred 16 terminally ill patients from a San Diego hospital to the Scripps estate in La Jolla, California. Here, they were subjected to the frequencies recommended by Dr. Rife for 90 days. Within 70 days, the USC team declared 14 patients clinically cured. The other 2 took 20 days longer. Associate
hold up,
professor
time
and
out.
director of music at Skidmore College,
Y'all heard this?
Anthony
They could be
Holland,
healing
a composer
everyone.
interested in the physical effects of sound, decided to learn the impact of audio frequencies in microbiology. Holland and his team searched for the exact frequency that would directly shatter a living microorganism. The magic number finally came from two inputs, high frequency and low.
Like, did you
The
know
high
that?
frequency had to be exactly 11 times higher than the low, which in music is known as the 11th harmonic. At this 11th harmonic, microorganisms begin to shatter like crystal glass.
If I tap this fork, putting little pulses of energy into it, the second fork will also vibrate in sympathy. And if I silence this fork, we just may hear the other singing its tone. We say that I'm inducing a sympathetic resonant vibration in the second fork. It only works because both forks are tuned to the exact same frequency.
After practicing until they got efficient at the procedure, Holland began working with a team of cancer researchers to destroy targeted cancer cells. First, they looked at pancreatic cancer cells, eventually discovering these cells were specifically vulnerable between 100,000 and 300,000 hertz.
This results in an invitation to spend 4 months in a cancer research lab trying to shatter cancer cells. This is our setup in the lab. You can see the microscope with cancer cells on it. Here's the plasma tube, and here's my little frequency control box. So first we attack pancreatic cancer. Take a good look at this slide, because the next one will look quite different.
In repeated and controlled experiments, the frequencies, known as oscillating pulsed electric field technology, killed an average of 25 to 40% of leukemia cells,
Imagine
going
what
as high as 60% in some cases.
some of the music is doing
Furthermore,
to us.
the intervention even slowed cancer cell growth rates by up to 65%. The team also found success in attacking ovarian cancer cells. Most recently, they tested the treatment against the deadly superbug MRSA, an organism resistant to many common antibiotics. Holland explains that thousands of people die yearly from MRSA, and the drugs usually used against the pathogen are known to have toxic side effects. Incredibly, the frequency therapy eliminated antibiotic
So
resistance,
why they not
and
putting this
researchers
out
were
for
able
real,
to
for real?
introduce a small number of antibiotics to kill the bug.
Did y'all know this?
Shamans use a variety of instruments and rituals to heal. Aceros is a sacred song sung by the doctor to the patient
I
in order
believe
to stimulate the patient's natural well-being and
this
health.
is knowledge that we forgot.
Ayahuasca practitioners also use this song in spiritual practices.
Let's wake up together.
In ancient civilizations, shamans sang a sacred song, aceros, to heal their patients. Aceros is also used in spiritual practices with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a psychoactive ethnobotanical concoction used for decades by indigenous groups of the northwestern Amazon and syncretic religious organizations for ritual and therapeutic purposes.
As well as using this knowledge for healing, the ancients also carved and levitated heavy stones and objects in order to build multi-story megalithic structures, using sound, vibrations, and frequencies. A device that could be tuned to a specific frequency is believed to have allowed Egyptians to cut massive stones with the ease of cutting butter.
Ancients used sound vibrations and frequencies to carve and levitate heavy stones and objects. Research indicates that Egyptians had some device that could be tuned to a specific frequency, and with it, they could cut massive stones. One of the shreds of evidence of these devices is the Al-Nasla rock formation found in Saudi Arabia. Two 6-meter-high boulders, 20 feet high, stand atop their pedestals, separated by a perfectly smooth crack. It looks like it's been cut in half by a laser beam. One geologist says that the split could have been caused by freeze-thaw weathering, but others say the split is too precise and smooth to have natural causes. It's speculated that the formation is evidence of early high technology. A Swedish Dr. Jarl studied at Oxford. During those times, he became friends with a young Tibetan student. A couple of years later, it was 1939, and Dr. Jarl made a journey to Egypt for the English Scientific Society. There, he was seen by a messenger of his Tibetan friend and urgently requested to come to Tibet to treat a lama. Dr. Jarl stayed there for some time, and because of his friendship, he learned a lot about the Tibetans. One day, his friend took him to a place in the neighborhood of the monastery and showed him a sloping meadow in the northwest by high cliffs.
A big hole was visible in one of the rock walls at a height of about 250 meters. Monks built a rock wall on a platform in front of this hole. By using ropes, the monks lowered themselves from the top of the cliff to this platform. There was a polished slab of rock in the middle of the meadow, about 250 meters from the cliff. The bowl had a diameter of 1 meter and a depth of 15 centimeters. Using yak oxen, a block of stone was maneuvered into the cavity. The block measured 1 meter wide by 1.5 meters long. Then, 19 musical instruments were set in an arc of 90 degrees at 63 meters from the stone slab. The radius of 63 meters was measured accurately. There were 13 drums and 6 trumpets among the musical instruments. 8 drums had a cross-section of 1 meter and a length of 1.5 meters.
All the drums were open at one end, while the other had a metal bottom on which the monks beat with big leather clubs. The monk behind the small drum signaled to start the concert when the stone was in position. The small drum was very sharp and could be heard even with the other instruments making a terrible din. All the monks were singing and chanting a prayer, slowly increasing the tempo of this unbelievable noise. During the first 4 minutes, nothing happened.
Oh,
Step into Wix Studio.
That sound
about
they about to do some magic.
Built for agents.
Then, as the speed of the drumming and the noise increased, the big stone block started to rock and sway. And suddenly it took off into the air with an increasing speed in the direction of the platform in front of the cave hole, 250 meters high. After 3 minutes of ascent, it landed on the platform. The monks used this method to transport 5 to 6 blocks per hour on a parabolic flight track, approximately 500 meters long and 250 meters high. From time to time, a stone split, and the monks moved the split stones away. Dr. Jarl was the first foreigner who had the opportunity to see this remarkable spectacle. Because he had the opinion in the beginning that he was the victim of mass psychosis, he made 2 films of the incident.
Yo, he thought he went
The
crazy.
films showed the same things that he had witnessed. The English society for which Dr. Jarl was working confiscated the 2 films and declared them classified.
Look
This
at this
action
shit.
is rather hard to explain or understand. Monks used musical instruments to levitate the stones from their place. The harmonic tuning of the drums and trumpets with the loud chanting of the priests added to the combined effects, created an anti-gravitational effect, and jolted the heavy rocks. Abdul Hassan Ali al-Masudi, an Arab historian from the 10th century AD, wrote about ancient Egypt and the methods he alleges they used to move massive stones, including those used to build the pyramids. He claimed that a magic papyrus imprinted with symbols was placed under each rock, after which a metal rod was struck against the stone to initiate the levitation process. According to al-Masudi, the stone would be guided along a fenced path with metal poles. Some believe these poles could have been used to create high-frequency sound vibrations, which would have been responsible for creating the levitation effects. Outside of this written testimony, which is open to interpretation, there is no direct evidence to suggest the pyramids were constructed by acoustic levitation. But the Great Pyramid of Giza possesses some extraordinary acoustic properties, demonstrating the capacity to amplify sounds generated at specific frequencies dramatically. The Egyptians who built the pyramids on the Giza Plateau knew a lot about sound, and knew how it could be used to produce powerful effects, possibly including levitation. In 2015, a device built by a team in Spain successfully levitated and manipulated small objects with sound. Here's an interesting old video of an acoustic levitation device by Dr. David Deek. Scientists already knew that sound waves create oscillating pockets of pressurized air, which can produce a force on an object capable of counteracting the pull of gravity. But while ultrasound levitation devices do exist, they all rely on standing waves, created when two sound waves of the same frequency are emitted from opposite directions and superimposed on one another. That means all previous devices require two sets of transducers. In 1987, Dr. David Deek designed and built an acoustic levitation and did a microgravity experiment for NASA-related subject matter. The 12-inch cubed plexiglass Helmholtz resonant cavity has 3 speakers attached to the cube by aluminum acoustic waveguides. By applying a continuous resonant 600 Hz sound wave and adjusting the amplitude and phase relationship amongst the 3 speakers, he could control levitation and movement in all 3 axes of the ambient space. The research was used to show the effects of microgravity conditions in orbit in the space shuttle environment. In addition, there is evidence for a whole new type of medicine in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without cutting out and replacing single genes. Gerdiev and his team successfully transformed frog embryos to salamander embryos simply by transmitting the DNA information pattern through frequency alone.
Look.
Gerdiev's research group proved that with this method, chromosomes damaged by X-rays, for example, can be repaired. They even captured information patterns of a particular DNA and transmitted it to another, thus reprogramming cells to another genome. So they successfully transformed, for example, frog embryos into salamander embryos simply by transmitting the DNA information patterns. According to Russian researchers, our DNA is not only responsible for the construction of our body, but also serves as data storage and communication. The Russian linguists found that the genetic code, especially in the useless 90%, follows the same rules as all our human languages. To this end, they compared the rules of syntax, semantics, and the basic rules of grammar. They found that the alkalines of our DNA follow regular grammar and have set rules just like our languages. So human languages did not appear coincidentally, but are a reflection of our inherent DNA. Dr. Lee Bartel, a professor emeritus of music and health and music education, is a leading researcher and expert on how our cells are affected by sound. He explores how sound can stimulate cells in your body and brain to reduce the impact of fibromyalgia pain, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and depression, and even increase blood flow. A common consumer vibroacoustic device is used to treat these health conditions. Researchers found that they could document brain cells firing at the frequency of the stimulus. Therefore, they could use a stimulus to bring about desired brain states, like delta sleep, which measures about 40 hertz.
Many years after I started doing this, I discovered that I could just use a single pitch, like this. 40 hertz, remember this sound. Very low, it's like low E on the piano. But with this, I found I could help people reduce their pain and even reduce Alzheimer's symptoms.
Dr. Bartel and fellow researchers found that when blood vessels were exposed to certain stimulus rates, the vessels would repeat that rate, which had implications for more medical conditions. He explains how these stimulus pulses affect multiple levels of bodily functions and brain patterns, even to the point of intra-brain communication, helping one side of the brain synchronize with the other. Such neuroscience music therapy was shown to help kids who had gone through cancer treatments help renew gamma activity. Research has proven that various music therapy treats sleep disorders. He notes that typical sleep studies focus less on oxygen levels and brain cell frequency. Not only did it improve sleep, but it also alleviated pain in fibromyalgia patients. They used a pulse stimulus of 40 hertz and saw a dramatic change in sleep, pain, depression, and quality of life ratings for these patients. The implications are substantial. We can re-regulate brain circuits and cellular function rather than just brain states.
When you encounter a click, like this, what's happening is that compressions of air molecules are coming to your ear, and your ear is translating that into an electric impulse and sending it to your brain, something like this. So it goes up the nerve and into the neuron, except it's not just one neuron, it's probably thousands or millions of neurons that are responding right to that click. Just a bit of information here. When we have one click coming to our ear, we call it 1 hertz, the measure per how many per second. When it's 5, per second, we call it 5 hertz. When it's 40, we call it 40 hertz. And the brain wave is measured in the same way as hertz. So 40 per second, or 40 hertz, sound will be called gamma because it's in the category of gamma brain waves.
These methods are applied to Alzheimer's patients and patients who experience depression with satisfying results. Bartel describes the methods for each and includes details about longevity and how the results are cumulative, yet need constant exposure to the pulse stimulus for the treatment to continue.
I hope you like this one. This is the official 2-piece of the video that I was telling you about. Now you know how I do. I gotta go here and plug myself in. I wrote a few books. I told you guys that. And I would like you guys to read it. One is about, and I wrote this a few years ago. I just happened to get it published more recently. But one of them, hold on, let me see. Yo, y'all help me get this channel to where it needs to be, which is up. You know, we're gonna get back into this too. I seen a UFO. I don't know if I'm gonna do that next, but I got something in mind. Hold on, where is my books? It might be over here. All right, let's see. Get some more views on some of this. Alright. I did one about positive affirmations. I don't know if you guys know what an affirmation is. Please go look it up. Let's see. We're going to view this right now. We're going to wrap this up. I'll see you guys next time. Pause and read if you have to. The link to my books will be in the description. Hit that like. Subscribe. Comment.